Welcome to the Blockchain Report, your daily rundown in the latest of crypto. My name is Taylor Nikolai. Today we're going to talk about ICO regulations. But before we start, none of this is
legal advice.
An ICO, or initial coin offering, is a way for cryptocurrency organizations to raise funds. ICOs are usually done by startups who are trying to raise money. ICOs are useful because it allows startups and organizations to bypass traditional money-raising avenues such as going to venture capitalists or banks as a source of funds. A portion of the team's cryptocurrency is sold to people who participate in the ICO. Because ICOs are so new, regulations on them and cryptocurrencies in general are still unclear in most parts of the world. In this video, we're going to be going over a lot of what you need to know if you're going to be participating in or even starting your own ICO. According to Forbes, countries are taking three varying approaches to ICOs: openly hostile, strictly regulated, wary but still open, possible regulation, and open and friendly, with minimal regulation if any. So let's go over some different countries' approaches. Starting with China. China is in the openly hostile category towards ICOs and considers all ICOs as illegal public financing. The ruling came from China's central bank, which issued a statement claiming that ICOs disrupted the country's financial order that raises suspicions of fraud and criminal activity. Chinese regulators said that they wanted to make financial security a top priority. Basically, China is the last place you want to go if you want to start your own ICO, because they're really harsh with the regulations. Next up, the United States and the EU. The United States and the European Union have a more open stance to ICOs than China. Tokens from ICOs can be broken down into two separate categories: security tokens and utility tokens. Let's start with security tokens. A security token is directly related to the growth of a company. In general, they represent ownership of an asset, such as equity within a company. Typically, startups view security tokens as under the same regulations of securities regulations within the US and the EU. So what about utility tokens? Utility tokens provide users with future access to a product or service, like a pre-order, like a discount, like a membership, like one of those or others. An example of a utility token is the Basic Attention Token, or BAT. Advertisers can purchase ads using BAT tokens, which are distributed among publishers and browser users as compensation for hosting the ads and viewing them. The key difference here is that security tokens provide users to ownership within a company, and utility tokens don't. So how do you know if something's a security token or a utility token? Well, there's a test for that. The Howey test says that for a token to qualify as a security, it must be an investment of money, have an expectation of profit from the investment, have the investment of money be in a common enterprise, or have any profit come from the efforts of a promoter or third party. Security tokens and utility tokens have hugely different tax implications. Juan Llanos, who has more than a decade of experience as a compliance officer for financial institutions in New York, stated the following about token regulations. The default position of securities regulators seems to be to consider them securities or investment contracts when they fit the conditions of the Howey test. They're looking at the promises and representations being made to consumers and investors, and are trying to weed out the obvious scams and exaggerated claims. He continued, there is today a global legal vacuum with respect to certain tokens that have a strong utility and consumptive value because they don't fully fit the definition of investment contract under Howey or its international equivalents. Now let's look at another country's regulations. Switzerland. According to ICO Watch List, Switzerland ranks 4th in highest number of ICOs per country, just behind the US, United Kingdom, and Russia. So what are the advantages of putting your ICO in Switzerland versus other countries? According to Thomas Linder of the Swiss law firm MME, there are three main advantages: a liberal approach to regulation, direct access to authorities, and a federal system focused on decentralized ideals. Switzerland takes a different approach to regulating ICOs. The goal of ICO regulation in Switzerland is to focus on specific problems, not to create unnecessary regulations to address problems that may or may not arise in the future. You can present a token offering on paper and get the opinion from the authorities about it. In Switzerland, you have direct access to authorities, and the authorities are there trying to make everything efficient for everybody. See, in Switzerland, there's a federal system focused on decentralized ideals. Most of the power is held at the smallest entities in Switzerland. Local infrastructure is run at the local levels of government. People in Switzerland can propose a change in the constitution, and with enough signatures on the initiative, it comes to a countrywide vote. Switzerland has released regulatory guidance on ICOs, separating them into 3 different categories. Payment tokens are subject to anti-money laundering or AML regulations, utility tokens have no regulations, and security tokens have security-specific regulations. Finally, we're going to go over some terms that you may have heard before, but you're not sure exactly what they mean. Know Your Customer, KYC, and anti-money laundering, or AML. This is a process in which a company can verify the identity of its customers. ICOs often use KYC AML practices in order to avoid the ire of regulatory bodies. It provides legitimacy to a startup, and in many cases, exchanges will not even list a token unless it has gone through some form of KYC AML process. Hopefully this video has helped you come to a better understanding of some of the regulations in the crypto space. Thanks for watching the Blockchain Report. If you want to stay up to date on all the latest crypto news and trends, be sure to follow us on Instagram @BlockchainReport. We'll see you next time.